I have been playing chess for more than 13 years and I have developed a strategy that helps me to consistently win games. Many of my subscribers have been using this strategy as well and they are seeing massive results in their games. In this video I will teach you how to use this strategy yourself by demonstrating it against the Sofia chessbot. So I will be playing here with the white pieces and I will be playing my own opening system, which is the Pegasus system here with pawn to d4 and my knight to d2. The opening itself is not super important for my strategy, but I do think it is best if you play an opening that is very solid, very normal, maybe even a little bit boring. Just an opening in which you try to fight for these 4 central squares. We just try to develop our pieces. We are not looking to do anything spectacular. Because over time I have tried so many openings in the past 13 years and I found out that the best openings are just the most simple openings at the end of the day. What will I play here? I will play pawn to c4 because I want to have more influence over the center and I want to develop my bishop here to d3. The only reason I will not do this immediately here is because my opponent can attack and then I have to move back my bishop. You could play that variation, but I will save myself the trouble of running into that by playing a3. Since a3 is a move I will play anyways in this opening system for white. So what are we doing exactly? We are trying to just play very normal looking, very boring, very solid moves, and we are trying to fight for the center. Then we will castle, and then in the middle game I will teach you something very simple you can follow to have a lot of success with your middle games. Black takes here, so we have to recapture. In general, if you have already moved this bishop, I don't recommend using the bishop to capture because you would be moving your piece twice, basically wasting a move. This knight, it's better to just use this one. And that is one of the main reasons why I put it here on d2 in my system in the first place. I want to prevent my opponent from jumping into e4 and I want to be able to recapture like this. And this is a very normal position that I get a lot of the times while playing my opening system, where I just have these knights, I have my bishop, and on the queen side, I will most likely do something with pawn to b4, sometimes to b3, and then developing my bishop. Before I can really start explaining everything, first Sofia is playing some aggressive chess, she is attacking us. So we have to respond to this before I can show you the plan. My knight is under attack, I can go back, which I already came for, or I can go to the e5 square, which is usually a little bit better. Because one of my main goals is always to improve pieces, and that is what we will be doing here right now, our middle game plan. We just want to see if we can improve our pieces as much as possible. It's very simple, but that is the only goal we have. And with pieces, of course, I am talking about these. I will usually not push my pawns unless if there is some very clear benefit from them. For example, the a3 pawn, there was a real benefit here. We were stopping 2 pieces, plus I needed something anyways to develop this dark squared bishop. These pawns, of course, have a big benefit. Moving these pawns, yeah, no benefit at all. We want to keep this very solid. Black is trying to play for something crazy. There are so many things we can do. We can take the bishop, we can take the knight, we can do a bunch of things, but I will just keep everything very simple. We are focused on optimizing pieces and developing. These pieces have not yet developed, so I'm going to ignore everything else for now. I want to develop these. I usually start with my knights and my bishops first, so that means I want to develop this bishop. I will play pawn to b4, so I can play bishop to b2. They grab my knight, but of course we already have the backup knight in place, so that is fine. I think something like this is also better for white, because well, black was trading away one of their pieces here that was influencing the center, and basically we just got a backup knight while this knight was not really doing anything. So this has also slightly improved our position. And now here black is again attacking us. So what move would we play in a position like this? What am I immediately thinking about? Well, there are actually a couple of things and I will demonstrate that here in the analysis mode. First off, yes, I can just continue with my normal plan, play bishop to b2. My opponent would be able to take here and damage my pawn structure. And in general, I am against every single move that damages your pawn structure, except for this one. Because whenever I can get a pawn to e5 in my openings, I'm always very happy. That means their knight has to move, and that usually means there will be some type of attack going on here. Maybe nothing immediate, maybe we have to build up first, they might push, they might create a weakness. But in general, you can also see the evaluation bar going crazy. These positions are very tough to defend from the black side. So I never mind if they take my knight. That is why here, I'm not going to focus on moving it, I'm just going to focus on simply improving my position. I was going to say, if this bot is actually 2300, they won't take, they will realize that's a very bad move. Now I just want to simply improve my queen and my rooks. Very simple. Which rook first? Well, this one doesn't really have a lot of room right now because the queen is still here. So I might think about moving the queen somewhere, but I'm not yet sure. Usually I put the queen here on e2. I will show you because this is development. Plus also you can see we have something going on here. Our opponent might need to defend. So that looks interesting. But of course also this move, rook to c1, hitting this weakness, maybe in some line doing something with the knight as well. I think this also looks fine. So I'm going to play rook to c1. All right, and they played rook to b6, a bit unorthodox, but I guess they are just trying to defend against this. What's next? Very simple, optimizing pieces. These two pieces have not moved. I want to move them. I will move my queen first, create a little bit of extra pressure here, and at the same time I'm opening up this for the rook. Black is moving pawns near the king, one of the worst things you can do. Every pawn move near the king creates weaknesses. You can already imagine, maybe we sack the bishop, maybe we sack the knight, maybe something happens with h6, while on my side everything is still clear, crystal clear, nothing going on. So what do? We keep optimizing pieces, and we basically wait for our opponent to make mistakes and create weaknesses. And they always will. They will always give away material, or they will start pushing pawns, as she is doing here, Sofia, and she's creating many weaknesses. Right now I could consider maybe playing some sacrifice, doing something crazy, but I honestly don't really see a real benefit since we cannot immediately activate more pieces. I can also do it the other way around as well. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, nothing's really happening. So we want to stick to the plan, play very simple chess, keep improving pieces. Which piece have we not improved yet? This rook. So I want to play it to either e1 or d1. Which is the best? Well, e1, I mean our queen and pawn are already here, and I'm not sure if this file will ever open up. So I don't really consider this to be an improvement. While at the same time, putting it here on d1 I think is an improvement, because we are very likely to at one point recapture here, opening up the rook, or maybe if they never capture, we might in some line have something going on with e4 and d5 pushes, and we will be able to force this open. In general, I found that it's always a smart move to put your rook on the same file as the enemy queen, even if nothing happens immediately. If you are facing off with the queen, even with 4 pieces in between, oftentimes these will at one point disappear and you might have some tactic. You might think, well, why do you never capture this bishop? For example, you have been able to do this for a couple of moves already. Well, why would we give away a very active centralized knight for a passive bishop? That's just a very bad plan. And who is better in this position? Of course, white. Of course, 1, we can see the evaluation bar, but 2, the position speaks for itself. Look at this. 2 rooks, bishops lined up against the enemy king, knight centralized. Actually, yeah, the bishops like this, always very difficult to draw arrows. So we need to continue with the plan. What am I thinking about here? There are a couple of things. One thing we could do is we could push pawn to e4, which would help us with the simple plan of putting the pawn on d5 and trying to liquidate the center. But in general, if not necessary, I will not push my pawns and I will try to keep them solid. Here on the queen side, this structure as well. So I'm basically looking to further optimize my pieces or to see if there's anything else I can do. So what I'm thinking about is e4, d5, but I'm also thinking about a move like rook to c2, which looks like it doesn't do much, but let me just play a move for my opponent. There might be maybe some line where we do slide over the rook, and now you might say, well, you just put your piece on d1, why are you moving it again? But I have learned that you don't have to be reluctant to move your piece over and over again if you basically keep improving it and keep creating new threads. So that is possible. We can also I'm pretty sure we can also play e4 and we can also play d5, but I'm gonna wait a little bit. I'm gonna wait and I'm slowly gonna build up. All right, they're moving the queen over. So basically now we have to make a choice. Do we want to double up and put some pressure here, which we can always do. I mean, it's gonna be tough defending this probably for black. They already created so many weaknesses by pushing their pawns. But yeah, I don't see an immediate way we can break through here. So it might be best for us to start considering these pawn pushes in the center. I usually push the pawn most of my pieces are pointing towards. So for example here, you can see 2 pieces are pointing towards this push. So that looks like a very decent move. This push, although it's probably possible, none of my pieces are really supporting it right now. So I wouldn't recommend it. I'll just push this. And even if you don't see the end result of this push, that doesn't really matter because anyways, we are improving and still we are always following the same rule. We are fighting for the center, fighting for these 4 central squares. All right. They push this pawn, which is basically even worse because at least when it was there, it was protected by the bishop. Now, yes, it's protected by this bishop, but also it's under attack by our knight. So now we have the pretty simple plan that we can just double up the rooks here. We've been talking about this for a while, and now we can just try to win some material. Black is trying everything to hold on, but as you can see, black is basically restricted to these first 3 ranks, while we as white are expanding and creating threats. So a position like this, of course, we have to calculate. Taking this and this doesn't look so promising because at the end of the exchange, of course, we would always be losing a piece. So let me go back. Yeah, let me go back a couple of moves. We are not going to play for that. So what am I considering? Maybe some pushes in the center, but right now I also don't see a big benefit. Of course, their queen is here. I also don't see a really big benefit from pushing here, since, yeah, everything is just liquidating and we are losing our central pressure. And in general, when you have an advantage, you want to draw out the game as long as you possibly can, with your advantage still present without liquidating, and that means exchanging and turning it into something simpler. So yeah, taking this doesn't really work. I don't really see a way to advance here. I don't see a way to push with the pawn. We might have something with taking this knight because they do have to recapture with the queen. And I think we might have a tactic in that line because if we take this and they recapture with the queen, we can simply fork, which is a very common plan in this opening as well. And if they take with the knight, which is fine, they are now losing the c6. So finally, I was able to identify a winning plan. We just keep calculating all of the active moves, captures, threats, and here we have a simple winning plan. And you might think, this is unbelievable. How can a chessbot, how can a 2300 chessbot play like this? But this is reality. Whether you play a chessbot or you play an online person, if you just keep playing very good moves, keep fighting for the center, keep developing your pieces, they will eventually crack and make a mistake. And here we get a free piece. Or of course you will crack yourself, which I also sometimes do, of course, and make the mistake and then lose the game. But we try to play safe, we try to not risk anything, which increases the chance that our opponent is the one making the mistake. Now we are up material, so the plan is pretty simple. As soon as you are up material, you want to trade into the endgame. So yeah, just a bunch of trades, for example, here. Why did I play my bishop here? My idea was simply that even if they move the knight, they are still in a bunch of trouble as well, and we are going to have a winning position anyways. But yeah, they don't move the knight, that means more trades. Now I'm basically looking for a queen trade. A queen trade would make everything more easy. All right, that's a queen trade, that's fine as well. And this position, of course, is completely winning. But we do have one problem. Our bishop, which is the only material advantage we have, I think. Yeah, we are basically down a pawn in exchange for a bishop. But our bishop is completely out of the game. It's not doing anything and it will never do anything. Unless if we make something happen. If we move our rook and we also reactivate this bishop. The reason why I was also thinking about this, of course, was because I already saw that we would be able to attack this rook as well. My opponent offers me trades. Of course, when they give you more trades, just accept the trades. And now I will activate my bishop, which also leads to the position, I think, where we can attack this rook, because if they move, we win. But I am wondering, what if they go here? We might just end up in some type of standoff here, but I also don't mind. We can always bail out with the bishop at any moment with a check. So I think this looks like a funny plan. All right, and I'm just gonna play this. And everything is protected. And now we can do multiple things. This rook is basically out of the game as well, so we could as well just take it and place it off the board. It doesn't matter anymore. Now it's just gonna be a little standoff here with the king and the pawn, so we're gonna play here. They are moving the rook, but actually I don't think anything they do matters. So I'm just going to try and get my king to the center. Yeah, keep activating the king. And try to simplify the endgame. I'm thinking here, honestly, I think every move wins in endgames like this. It's just about simplification. We want to make things simpler. I could also push this, but basically I'm locking in my own pawn. So in general, I don't think that's a good plan. What we could also play is this, which leads to more exchanges. And in general, I want to exchange as much as we possibly can. This also gives us the benefit that now we have a passed pawn and we can basically start pushing this pawn as well. I don't know what black is thinking, but now their rook is basically non-existent. They are giving us a pawn. We do have to, of course, watch out for any forks, but yeah, no problems at all since they can't really do anything. But we do have to be careful. They are trying to liberate their rook like this. That's interesting. This is a very interesting move they played, because they will be able to reactivate their rook. I'm thinking here, what's the best plan for us? Usually it's just to keep pushing past pawns, but of course we always have to be very careful that we don't fall for this fork. If I do capture the pawn, I am basically giving away my bishop. Which also doesn't look too amazing. Or actually, yeah, I'm also still dropping this fork. So this is a super interesting defensive move. And this shows you that if you still have enough time, even when you are winning, you still have to keep calculating. So yeah, I think the best option will be to take this. We will get a check. We will have to move our king. We will also probably lose this pawn. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter since we are still winning. What happens once you get a position like this with such a big material advantage? My advice is usually to just try to push your passed pawns. It's the most basic of endgames you can potentially have. As soon as you have a passed pawn, meaning a pawn that can promote, you basically just push it all the way, you make a queen, and then you have a very easy win. So that is my strategy. I hope you can use this to win more games.